Hello, I'm coming to you from our new studio. I'm here meeting with contractors, architects, so construction can get started very soon. Recently, our ministry team was in Washington, D.C. for the International Religious Freedom Summit and the Religious Freedom in America Conference. These are not Christian events. These are global gatherings where organizations of all faith and all nations converge on Washington, D.C. to advocate, protect, and advance religious freedom for all people, everywhere, all the time. Our ministry team was there as ambassadors representing Jesus Christ and his people in all nations' public squares of business. Please enjoy this Jesus Christ CEO TV interview with our next guest.
We're back this afternoon with Fiona Bruce. Thank you for not quite volunteering to sit down, but but sitting down anyways. So tell us, Fiona, why you're here at the International Religious Freedom Summit.
Well, thank you for having me and asking me. I'm here because I believe it's really important that people get together. So many people across the world now are working on religious freedom in defense of those who are discriminated against and persecuted for their beliefs, whether it's academics, activists, advocates, whether it's young people, government representatives, grassroots, people who are right at the coalface of supporting people in prison or others who are suffering hardship. But you know, we can all do more when we work together. And so I think it's so important that events like this are arranged where there's an opportunity for people to meet, to share their experiences and to work out how together we can achieve more for those who are suffering across the world.
Wow. So you actually practice this. I don't remember the title somebody just said here a minute ago, but were you like the commissioner of the International Religious Freedom in Europe? What was the official title?
Thank you. Well, until recently, I was the Prime Minister, the UK Prime Minister's Special Envoy for freedom of religion or belief. And for 2 years, I was the chair of the International Religious Freedom or Belief Association, which is a grouping of now 43 countries from across the world who have appointed government representatives, envoys or ambassadors to actually stand up for religious freedom. So this was my role until very recently, when I ceased to be a member of the UK Parliament a few months ago. And it was a great joy to be able to work with other government representatives from right around the world, from Brazil through North America, Canada, Australia, Europe, in using our government clout to actually help. So, for example, we would ask our ministers to write to governments where people have been imprisoned for their beliefs. And we've seen some success in that respect. Just recently, the UK Foreign Secretary was asked to write in support of Pastor Lorenzo, who you might be aware was imprisoned, and he has now been released. And that's just one example of a joint effort across the world of governments and of others standing up for those who are prisoners of conscience for their faith.
I also heard that you have a business background and you have your own law firm.
This is true. Yes, I confess. Yes, I actually set up my law firm in 1988, and so we are in the north of England, and we are a member of the Association of Christian Law Firms.
Oh, wow. Wow. So how in the business world and being an attorney do you live out your faith at work?
That's a great question. Well, I think one of the ways that I seek to live out my faith is in the way that I treat my clients and my staff. My colleagues, I prefer to call them now. And if you can work with integrity, with fairness, with understanding, and to use a Christian phrase, as a servant leader, then you can achieve a lot more. And so just the manner in which we do our work, I think can make a real difference to the effectiveness that we have. And there's a wonderful expression that I heard not long ago from Harry Truman, former president here in the US, where we now are. And he said, "It is amazing what you can achieve if you're not bothered about who gets the credit." And I think in business, certainly in leadership, it is so important to be a servant leader and to look at how you can enable others to flourish and support them in doing that. And so that's my aim in business.
Wonderful. So, as you've just described, wanting to be able to live out your faith as a business owner, and we can see now, I wanted to be able to connect it to, so what you're doing with religious freedoms is extremely important on a personal level, because you want to be able to have that right to do that in your companies as well.
Well, you're absolutely right. And in fact, the reason I set up the law firm, and let me just say, there are many, many professionals in my profession and in others' professions who work and seek to work with the greatest of integrity. However, I'd been actually, by the time I set up my law firm, I'd been 9 years working in another law firm. And during that period, my faith developed, and I became unhappy about some of the practices in that law firm. And I think the final straw was that actually my senior partner spoke to me and said, "I never want to hear the name Jesus Christ spoken in this building."
Oh, wow.
And I thought, you know, whilst I would never abuse my position as a lawyer here and take advantage of that to impose my faith on anyone else, if in a natural conversation, perhaps after a case had finished, or when I was speaking with a client or member of staff, they want to ask me about their faith, I want to be free to share it, because for me it's the most important thing in my life. And in fact, and that's why I set up. And I can give you a very good example, which subsequently came. I was acting for an elderly lady. She was over 90 years old, and I'd got to know her quite well, because over a number of years she'd made her will 3 times. And she had her carer call for me at the office and said, "Fiona, will you come and see Edith?" And I said, "Yes, I'll come and see her in her home," because she by this time was very frail. And I went to see her, and I expected that she would be wanting to make her will again. And that wasn't the case. She said, "Fiona, I know you're a Christian, and I want to talk to you about faith. I'm facing my Maker." And it was a wonderful moment when I was able to tell her about the forgiveness of Christ, whatever she'd done. And she'd carried a big burden for many years in her life of guilt, that Jesus Christ can set us free of any burden of guilt. And she died peacefully a few days later, reconciled. Now, to have that freedom, and for my staff, my colleagues to know they have that freedom to speak about their faith in their workplace, should the opportunity arise, I think that's a freedom worth having.
Yes, amen.
Very special.
Amen. Well, I want to thank you for you taking the time. I know they just kind of swooped you over here, set you down, but I am very grateful. This was very, very inspiring and very encouraging. So thank you for sharing how the Lord is working with you in business and how it relates to being here at the International Religious Freedom Summit.
It's actually been my pleasure too. Thank you for asking me.
Well, God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. If our ministry mandate of restoring in all nations the preeminence of Jesus Christ in business, and our media mission of telling the world what Jesus is doing in business resonates with you, please support this ministry. Your financial support will help us continue to fulfill the Great Commission as missionaries in the nation's public squares of business. God bless you, and thank you for your prayers and support.